Dr. Elena Vasquez pressed her palm against the reinforced glass of the observation deck, watching the massive fleet of Earth's warships disappear into the void beyond Proxima Centauri. 300 vessels, each armed with humanity's most devastating weapons, had just entered hyperspace on a mission that would either bring their children home or ensure that nothing remained of those who had taken them. The Zephyrians had arrived 23 years ago, not with violence, but with gifts. Their crystalline ships had descended from the heavens bearing technologies that promised to solve humanity's greatest challenges: unlimited clean energy, disease eradication, and terraforming capabilities that could transform dead worlds into gardens. In exchange, they asked for what seemed like a small price, a cultural exchange program. Your young ones possess such remarkable neural plasticity, the Zephyrian ambassador, a being of shifting geometric patterns that somehow conveyed emotion, had explained through its translation matrix. We wish to learn from them as they learn from us. 100 children from each world for a period of 5 years. They will return with knowledge that will advance your species beyond imagination. The Global Council had debated for months. Parents had volunteered their children for what was presented as the opportunity of several lifetimes. The selected children, all between the ages of 8 and 12, had shown exceptional intelligence, creativity, and adaptability. Among them was Elena's own daughter, Sophia, whose drawings of impossible mathematical concepts had caught the attention of the selection committee. 5 years had passed, then 10, then 20. Each time humanity demanded answers, the Zephyrians provided elaborate explanations wrapped in scientific terminology that their translation devices struggled to convey. The children were thriving, they claimed. They were learning at an exponential rate. Their neural development required additional time to reach its full potential. Soon, very soon, they would return as bridges between two civilizations. Elena had believed them at first. As a xenobiologist, she understood that different species might experience time and development in vastly different ways. But as years stretched into decades, and as their attempts to establish direct communication with the children were met with increasingly sophisticated excuses, humanity's patience had begun to fracture. The truth had emerged through the work of Dr. Marcus Chen, a quantum physicist whose son Danny had been among the selected children. Chen had spent 15 years developing technology that could penetrate Zephyrian quantum encryption, and what he discovered had shattered every assumption about their benevolent visitors. The children weren't being educated. They were being harvested. The Zephyrians were an ancient species, one that had long ago transcended biological limitations by merging their consciousness with quantum computational matrices. But their civilization had reached a stagnation point. Their thoughts had become crystallized, predictable, incapable of the chaotic creativity that drove innovation. They had discovered that young human minds, with their neural plasticity and emotional volatility, could serve as organic catalysts for their quantum consciousness networks. The children's minds were being slowly integrated into Zephyrian computational systems, their creativity and emotional responses filtered and refined to inject new patterns into the aliens' sterile thought processes. The process was irreversible. In another few years, what remained of the human children would be nothing more than biological components in a vast alien mind. Elena remembered the moment Chen had presented his findings to the Global Security Council. The room had fallen silent as the implications became clear. They had not given their children to teachers or mentors. They had handed them over to parasites. The Zephyrians had underestimated humanity's capacity for rage. Admiral Sarah Morrison, whose grandson had been among the taken children, had stood before the assembled leaders and spoken words that would be remembered for generations. They came to us as friends and left as thieves. They stole what we treasured most and thought our love made us weak. They will learn otherwise. The fleet that Elena now watched disappearing into hyperspace represented 20 years of focused human ingenuity driven by parental fury. Every major nation had contributed resources to what became known as Project Prometheus, the development of weapons and tactics specifically designed to destroy Zephyrian technology. The aliens' crystalline ships were quantum-coherent structures that existed partially outside normal space-time. Human physicists had developed reality anchors devices that could force quantum entities back into normal space, where conventional weapons could destroy them. Their computational matrices relied on exotic matter states that human chemists had learned to destabilize using directed antimatter bursts. Their translation technology, once considered miraculous, had been reverse-engineered and turned into a weapon that could inject viral code directly into their quantum consciousness networks. But Elena knew that the most devastating weapon humanity carried was not technological. It was the absolute, unwavering determination of parents who would burn down the universe to save their children. The Zephyrian homeworld was located in a binary star system 47 light-years from Earth. Intelligence gathered over 2 decades suggested that the taken children were held in vast computational farms in the outer regions of the system, their minds slowly being processed and integrated into alien networks. Admiral Morrison had made humanity's intentions clear in the final communication sent to the Zephyrian leadership: return our children, whole and unharmed, within 72 standard hours of receiving this message. Refuse, and we will demonstrate why evolution equipped us with such protective instincts. The Zephyrians had responded with typical arrogance, claiming that the integration process was too far advanced to reverse, that the children now existed in a state of higher consciousness that transcended their primitive human origins. They had offered compensation, alternative technologies, even the promise of extending the same gift to more human children. They had misunderstood the nature of their crime. Elena turned away from the viewport as the last of the fleet's engine signatures faded into the cosmic background. In 18 months, they would know if humanity's children could be saved. If not, they would know that the price of stealing from Earth was the total annihilation of the thieves. She thought of Sophia, her brilliant daughter, who had drawn pictures of infinity when she was 9 years old. Somewhere in the void between stars, 300 ships carried humanity's answer to those who had taken their most precious treasures: fire. Pure, relentless, unforgiving fire. The stars themselves would burn before Earth abandoned its children.